Oh my God. Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. To this day, another big challenge may be on the horizon for Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Up and coming American heavyweight Jared Big Baby Anderson. Now, this video I was going to make yesterday, but with the Ryan Garcia Devin Haney fight, still lots to talk about regarding that. So I'm just now getting caught up with all the boxing content. Thank you guys for your patience. Subscribe to the channel. Initially, when I heard this, we'll say rumor, that Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder could fight Zhang in June, which is already announced as part of the 5 versus 5 card. Very good card. And I've already talked about that on my social medias. Now they're saying if Wilder beats Zhang, that he could come back to be on the Terrence Crawford card versus Madrimov, which is a stacked card as is. And when I heard this, I'm like, yo, hold on. If one card is in June and then the other card is going to be in August, how's Wilder going to fight both of those fights to make that happen? So in my brain, I was like, that got to be cap. Lo and behold, I went to Turkey Al-Sheikh and it looks to be true. So first of all, you have His Excellency with Jared Anderson and they're posting. So obviously they linked up or met up. Jared Anderson also went to Saudi Arabia for, I think it was Tyson Fury and Ngannou, one of those fights. I'm pretty sure it was the Ngannou fight. He says, and I quote, "The talented Jared Anderson is with us now on August 3rd, Riyadh season card in LA against the Bronze Bomber, Deontay Wilder, if he's ready by then to fight after the 1st of June fight against Zhang. I always believed that boxing would be at its peak when you have young American heavyweights like Jared Big Baby Anderson, which I also believe in his talent and his promising future. My advice to him is, quote, focus on your future training and commitment and you will reach to your goals. Happy to collaborate with Top Rank again. Riyadh season card 3rd of August in Los Angeles will be one for history. Basically for the history books. So I'm thinking about this and I'm like, whoa, there's a lot of people that are super hyped for this particular fight. Now, in terms of a fight, it's not a bad fight, but in thinking about it, it really looks like Deontay Wilder is being pulled through the ringer. It looks like Wilder is almost being thrown to the wolves, because if you guys follow my channel, you will know that I don't believe, see, and this is, I'm going to say it with a grain of salt, but just hear me out. In boxing, inactivity could be bad for sure. So you don't want to go 15 months in between all your fights, right? Generally, that's not good. But so infrequency of fights, inactivity is clearly an issue. I've always stood by that. I've always said that on my page, etc. But I also believe that there's this spectrum and you could go all the way to the left, you can go all the way to the right. What benefits you is to be somewhere in pocket right there in the center. Like, for example, let's say somebody's trying to be in shape. You don't have to eat so clean to the point where you hate your life because all you're eating is broccoli and no seasoned chicken or something like that, bland foods. You can have every so often, have a meal or a dessert or something like that without being all the way over here where you hate your life because your diet is so bland. But then on this side of the spectrum would be gluttony, gorging, eating whatever you want, eating a lot of sugary foods, drinking a lot of sugary drinks, things with a lot of carbohydrates, processed food, high fructose syrup. That's that extreme. So again, you don't want to do that and then eat all the heavily processed foods, but then you also don't want to hate your life because you're dieting and it's so extreme and you're basically starving yourself or eating super bland. So I believe somewhere in the middle. So although I don't believe in an insane amount of inactivity, I also think quick turnarounds could be bad. An example that easily comes to mind for me, because I'm the king of boxing talk, is Sergey Kovalev. Right before the Canelo fight, he had a very tough fight that was nearly stopped by his own coach, Buddy McGirt, and that was when Kovalev fought Anthony Yard. Canelo purposefully gave him very little time to rest because he was moving up, and he said, hey, if you want to fight me, we're fighting in November or whatever it was. So Kovalev had very little time to rest and recover before he got out of the fight where he was nearly stopped with Yard, even though he came back to stop Yard. Barely any time to rest, and then he's jumping back into another camp. So virtually Wilder's in that same boat. So it's looking like, and I don't know, you guys let me know in the comment section how you feel, but to be honest, with the schedule this like tough, right, it looks like Wilder is almost being used like a stepping stone or a measuring stick for other fighters. Because here's the thing, and I've said this, I respect Deontay Wilder. I like him. I've covered all his career, showed nothing but love to Deontay Wilder and his team. Same thing with Zhelei Zhang. I've met him. I like Zhelei Zhang. I've told you that on the channel. As far as I can see it from my analytical brain, Wilder versus Zhelei Zhang is a difficult fight for both. Zhelei Zhang sometimes gets hit. Wilder has punching power you don't want to get hit by. But then Wilder has had still some inactivity. He's coming off of a loss to Joseph Parker, and you're fighting a very big Southpaw. Southpaws give orthodox fighters a lot of problems by and large. You have to know how to fight a Southpaw. So with Wilder's style going up against a very big Southpaw, and I've met both of them, and Zhelei Zhang, he's pretty big. Plus he's a Southpaw, right? And he looks durable as well, and he hits hard. So to go from that type of fight, which kind of is a pick'em fight at this point of both fighters' career, Zhelei Zhang just lost to Joseph Parker. Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder lost to Joseph Parker, right? So Parker's doing his thing. I've met him too. Kind of resurrected his career. And now this is almost like a crossroads fight. The point I'm making is this isn't a gimme fight for Zhang or Wilder. So that in and of itself, I do think is a difficult fight where they could hurt each other, right? And to go from that in June or whatever to fighting Jared Anderson, which also could be a tough fight. He has skills, he has talent, and he's going to be smaller than Wilder, but he has pretty fast hands, things like that. And the other thing is, I'm not a big fan of the quick turnarounds, like where it's super quick. The only time where it makes sense is if you're like a Kermel Moton, where you're a young prospect and you breeze through your competition, took no damage kind of deal, then you're free to do that. You know what I mean? Like if you had a fight where, like, let's say Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence, he didn't really take any punishment, even though by the time he fights again, it'll be over a year. If he were to come back last year and just do like an Omaha fight, it wouldn't have mattered. And speaking of Crawford, that's another fight that comes to mind for me. Errol Spence was on a long layoff coming off surgery and elected to fight Crawford, while Crawford and his team, they were smart to take a tune-up fight that with a guy, David Avocado, that couldn't really beat Crawford, which was shown. He got knocked out in like 6 rounds or whatever. And then that keeps you fresh. Same thing with Jared Anderson. Jared Anderson has fought since Wilder and Joseph Parker, because that was last year in December. And Jared Anderson just fought against a guy, and he took really no punishment because the guy was not engaging in that much, you know? So it was really a sluggish fight. So to be honest, it looks like they're using this tough schedule to almost like put Wilder through the ringer and give Jared Anderson the boost should he defeat Wilder. And I'm not saying exactly this is how it'll play out, but I just think that's an insanely tough schedule. And Wilder is one of those fighters who he just so brave and bold, where if you don't stop him, then he's going to just keep taking hard fights. And I feel like it's surprising almost. I understand that the Saudis have come in and presented options with a lot of money and things like that. But for the end of your legacy, it seems like at some point somebody on your team might be like, yo, this is a tough schedule. You might want to get a tune-up. Like, Wilder literally lost, and he's fighting a big southpaw. Last time he fought someone that was 300 pounds was Tyson Fury. That's how much Zhang be weighing. Zhang be like 290 or something like that, right? You feel me? So you're fighting a southpaw, which Tyson Fury wasn't, but Tyson Fury used his weight to his advantage. We'll see what happens with Zhang. And then even if, because Wilder does have that one punch knockout power, let's say he bop and he knocks out Zhang, which to my knowledge, Zhang hasn't been knocked out. I don't even know if he's been dropped. I don't remember a fight. He fought Joe Joyce twice. Joseph Parker hurt Joseph Parker, clearly stopped and hurt Joe Joyce. So I don't even know if he's been dropped by somebody. I even thought he beat Philip Ergovich. So that in and of itself is a very dangerous fight for Wilder. And then even if you get past that, then now you got to fight this young talent who is coming off a fight where he took no punishment. That's a super difficult schedule. I wouldn't really want that for my fighter personally. I understand the money and stuff, but even if you were going to do it, I would suggest having some space in between there. I get it. They're trying to load up this Crawford American card and make a huge statement, but I feel like, to me, it makes more sense to pick or choose. Like, hey, Wilder either fight Zhang on the 5x5, Eddie Hearn team captain thing, or fight Jared Anderson. But for me, to have Wilder do both is insane. And that's an insane schedule for someone Wilder's age. He's pushing 40, probably 36, 37, and giving him no time to rest, given the fact that he's coming off the Joseph Parker loss. I just thought this was a rumor. Like, I was like, nah, there's no way. Just because the timetable, even if he wanted to do this, it would make more sense if he fought Zhang, and if he's able to get past Zhang, then fight Jared Anderson on a solo card or something in November, December, at the very least. But Wilder's Wilder. He takes all challenges, and boxing is the hurt business. It's a mean, brutal, and cruel sport, and it's like your team and the fighter, they got to make the right decisions for their career. Otherwise, it could like backfire where the sport ends up retiring you. And I had this conversation with Andre Ward at one of his media days. He was like, man, a lot of people want to see Floyd Mayweather go out with a loss and have a loss on his record. And he's like, I'm glad Floyd left on his own terms. And then he said, I want to be like that. I want to leave on my own terms where the sport doesn't retire me. And you know what I mean? You just get like battered and beat up for your last 2 fights or 3 fights or 1 fight or whatever. And I've seen it so many times. Guys like legends like Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., guys like Tim Tszyu, guys like Hector Camacho, Sugar Ray Leonard's, and Mike Tyson's. I mean, it's an endless list. Eric Morales, Jose Luis Castillo. Like, I remember when he fought Ruslan Provodnikov. I'm like, this is crazy. So boxing is unforgiving. You got to really have a smart team and just kind of get in and get out, because then people start looking at you like, all right, we need to build our next fighter off of you. Look at when Carlos Baldomir got knocked out by Canelo, who was 19. Baldomir had fought Zab. Baldomir had fought against Floyd Mayweather. And then they bring in this redhead kid from Mexico who's about to fight this weekend versus Jaime Munguia. And then he just completely knocks him out crazy. And then that aids and helps in the development of Canelo. Same thing with Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley really wasn't a career or a big 54 pounder. And then they fed Shane Mosley to Canelo at the spot that they did So it would give Canelo the boost up. And that's what it looks like they're trying to do to Deontay Wilder. My read could be wrong, but I think for this time frame, that's an insane schedule for a heavyweight, because those Tyson Fury fights, I truly believe, took a lot out of Wilder, but as well as Tyson Fury. Joshua fought Ngannou, and rest in peace to his son, but Joshua pretty well destroyed him hurt him in the first and then destroyed him in the second round. Versus Tyson Fury, he fought Ngannou and it was tooth and nail. I thought Ngannou beat Tyson Fury. And some people think Tyson Fury is showing signs of age. We'll see what happens in the Usyk fight and things of that nature. But Tyson Fury doesn't look quite as crispy as he once did. Same thing with Wilder. And Wilder, you got to think about it. He went 12 with Joseph Parker in a loss in December. Before that, he went 1 round with Robert Helenius. And before that, I believe he lost to Tyson Fury in the 3rd fight that he had to fight to get. And Fury was stalling and, things like that. They had to reschedule. So basically, he has 13 rounds in the last several years. And he has 2 losses in his last 3 fights. And then the 1 fight that he did win in that time frame was a 1st round knockout over Robert Helenius, who Joshua knocked out after that as well. So I don't know, man. This seems like they are trying to pass the torch to another heavyweight. I understand exciting cards and loading up the Crawford card, but I really believe that this is an insane schedule with very little time for someone pushing 40 who's been through classic wars and giving you the best, and kind of has a newish trainer, Malik Scott, that he's working with. We'll see. Wilder definitely has the equalizer power where, if it works out for him and he gets past Jared Anderson and Zhang, that would be big. But me personally, instead of the Jared Anderson option, which is not a bad fight by any stretch, and if they do fight, I'm definitely watching it. But I think if he gets past Zhang, Wilder's kind of owed a Joshua fight, but it's not my money. It's the Saudis' money and Turki Al-Sheikh, His Excellency. So they're free to match with their money how they want to match it. But it just sounds bizarre to me from what I know in boxing. Best of luck to everybody involved. I guess we have to wait and see what happens in these heavyweight fights. But Wilder, no stranger to danger. He really believes in his skill. He said he's remotivated. He definitely has the power to hurt anyone he touches. We'll see how these fights play out, people.